Hey there, MJ traders and investors. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, interviews, and home to the best MJ community. Today's Thursday, December 7th. The month is just flying by. We're already a week in. Hope you're doing well. And in this video, we're going to be discussing the Fed's releasing 250 plus pages of redacted documents with regards to the MJ rescheduling recommendation. And this just came out about an hour ago. It was reported by MJ Moment. So we're going to go over this. We'll give you the details on this news. Before we get to it, though, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, and you'll be notified on any future videos or whenever I go live. Also, make sure to give us a follow over on X, which is formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow, and you can also follow us on other platforms like Rumble. Did a video on this yesterday, just signed up for that, and I also signed up for Odyssey as well. Really liking this platform as well, and they have a nice sync feature, so I was able to import everything over to Odyssey. But you never want to have all your eggs in one basket. That's one thing I've learned through my experience with finance and investing, trading. Even with my short-term rental business with Airbnb, my account gets suspended, and it just goes to show you that you should always have some form of diversification. So I'm going to be posting my content on Rumble and on Odyssey as well, so you can follow us over there. But here is the article reported by MJ Moment. Feds released 250 plus pages of redacted documents on MJ rescheduling recommendation detailing MJ's medical value. And we know that we had 6 governors that recommended that send a letter to Biden saying that we get rescheduling done by the end of the year. I'd say there's almost no chance that it gets done by the end of the year. I'd gladly be wrong, though. I would welcome that. But I just don't see that happening with, the holidays coming up. We've only got, just under 4 weeks left in the month, so I can't see that happening, right? If we take a look at the calendar, there's really only about 3.5 weeks left of the year, and a lot of that's going to be holiday driven. So I just can't see it happening before the end of the year. I think that we should potentially get a response from the DEA on this recommendation, rescheduling to Schedule 3 recommendation at some point in 2024, the first quarter, second quarter of 2024. And then I think the most likely scenario is it gets approved and then it gets enacted in late 2024 or early 2025. But I think that the odds of this happening before the elections next year is very, very high, because we know that the Biden administration hasn't really done anything with regards to MJ after all their false promises. So I think they're going to be motivated and incentivized to get something done here before the elections next year. So here's the details. More than 3 months after the news leaked that the U.S. Health and Human Services Department, HHS, was recommending that MJ move to Schedule 3 under the Federal Controlled Substances Act, CSA, the agency has finally released a tranche of documents related to its recommendation and the detailed review it undertook on MJ's accepted medical value. So there's going to be some information that comes. Obviously, it's over 250 pages, right? So there's going to be more information that comes on this in the near future. I haven't dived into the full 250 plus pages yet, obviously, but I'm not sure I'll have time to. But we'll just continue to monitor the news developments, and we'll see what these experts uncover. So among the new materials made public are correspondence from HHS officials to the DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration, Administrator Ann Milgram, as well explanations of the health agency's reasoning for the recommended change after conducting a required 8-factor analysis under the CSA. Most pages, though, are heavily redacted, and some were withheld completely. The documents were posted online Thursday by attorneys Shane Pennington and Matt Zorn, co-authors of Blog on Drugs. Zorn previously submitted a request under the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, to obtain the records, and there was also a lawsuit going on. I did a video on this one as well, but essentially it's just a Freedom of Information Act request where anybody can go through and request this information from any kind of regulators or federal agencies, so that we the people, they work for the people, so we should be able to obtain this information. And if they don't, then there's some repercussions, right? And this has been happening with the crypto space as well a lot. But there's multiple reasons why they redact things and why they withhold things. But for the most part, I think most of this should become public and should be made public eventually. We haven't had a chance to wade through it all, though. The 2 lawyers wrote, and I'm not a legal expert either, and most of you listening aren't, so we'll kind of leave this to the experts to uncover what they can, and then I'll continue to report on it as we see more developments. But they are putting it up here for now, and we'll follow up as soon as they studied everything more deeply. And it's probably going to take at least a week or two, I would think, to go through everything, but depending on how much they have on their plate, we'll see. But in response to the FOIA request, HHS received 252 pages of records. And again, just goes to show you that when we make our voices heard, things happen, right? So if we just sit here by the wayside and just sort of lean over and take it, well, nothing's ever going to get done. So we need to fight. And, this goes to show you, if you're an advocate for MJ and reform and legalization, make your voices heard. Reach out to your elected officials. Reach out to, the offices and the administration, and do your best to make your voices heard. Let them know that we want change, and we want this medicine of the future, this amazing plant and industry to thrive, right? So they reviewed 250 pages of record, releasing just 2 pages in their entirety. Another 236 were redacted in part, while 14 pages were withheld completely. All the released documents are embedded at the end of the article. So broadly, the documents outline new scientific information that comes to light in recent years, subsequent to an earlier denial of the rescheduling petition, which HHS suggested might now necessitate rescheduling MJ. The current view, and it's just ridiculous right now that it's on Schedule 1, right? No medical value. We know that's not true. That could not be further from the truth. And then, to put it on a list of heroin, and it's absolutely laughable. The current review is largely focused on modern scientific, keyword modern, scientific considerations on whether MJ has a CAMU, currently acceptable medical use, and on new epidemiological data related to the abuse of MJ in the years since 2015 HHS's evaluation of MJ under CSA's 8-factor analysis. That is a mouthful. HHS also notes that it analyzed considerable data related to the abuse potential of MJ, but added that it's a complicated consideration. And that definitely is. I mean, some people have addictive personalities, some don't. I personally don't think that I do. I think it's just fun. It's, it helps with sleep. There's more, I've seen an article today, but there's more and more research being done that, nighttime use of MJ really does improve your quality of sleep. And I'm just a living, breathing example of it. Like, I use it each and every night. Most of the time, I don't even do it during the day anymore. I used to be an avid chronic smoker, all day long. But you start to notice some cognitive, impairments, right? Your ability to, remember things just goes down, right? So you can notice it as a user, right? Somebody who uses it. And let me know in the comments below what you think, your thoughts and opinions on this. But, I've never considered myself to be addicted to it or abusing it. I go to, Mexico and things like that with my girlfriend, and, we go away for a week, and, I'm not down there trying to find MJ, although it quite often does find me. Somebody on the beach comes around and they're trying to, to pawn it off on you and sell it to you. But, I'm not in dire need. I don't need to go down there and the first thing I do look for MJ. That's not what it's about for me, right? It's more about like unwinding. It's more of a stimulant. It's more of a sleep aid. It helps with, focusing and things like that. So, everybody's different and to each their own, but, whenever I go away for a week, I'm not like, scratching my skin and, dying to get a fix, right? I actually quite welcome the break, and, helps with tolerance and things like that. So, I really don't think that there's that much potential for abuse there, but let me know your thoughts and opinions and your experience in the comment section below. Determining the abuse potential of a substance is complex with many dimensions, HHS wrote, and no single test or assessment provides a complete characterization. Thus, no single measure of abuse potential is ideal. Most subsequent pages of the document were withheld completely. HHS's Director of FOIA Appeals and Litigation said in a letter to Zorn that the sections were redacted pursuant to a provision of FOIA law that exempts intra-agency memorandums or letters that would not be available by law to a party other than an agency in litigation with the agency. So basically just protecting it from, certain ongoing lawsuits and things like that could potentially come back to bite them. In October, HHS released a highly redacted version of the one-page letter from Health Agency to the DEA in response to the public records request by news organizations such as MJ Moment and lawyers including Zorn. With rescheduling recommendation now in DEA's hands, many are watching closely for updates. So while the Congressional Research Service, CRS, recently concluded that it was likely that the DEA would follow the HHS recommendation based on past precedent, DEA reserves the right to disregard the health agency's advice because it has final jurisdiction over the CSA. And then we know that if the DEA signs off and approves the recommendation of Schedule 3, it still has to go through the Department of Justice, so the DOJ, and then some other regulatory hoops and red tape. So it's not going to be, even if it happens, even if we get a response from the DEA this month, it's going to be a while, right? It's going to be many months. I would say back half of 2024, but there's a good chance that it gets done before the 2024 elections. But like I said, if I were to put, I guess if I were to put a timeline on it, I'm not in the business predicting business, but I would say we get a response from the DA at some point in Q1 or Q2 of 2024 as the most likely scenario. So earlier this week, I mentioned this earlier, governors of 6 U.S. states, Colorado, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, and Louisiana sent a letter to President Joe Biden urging the administration to reschedule MJ by the end of this year. Again, that's wishful thinking. I can't see that happening, but I would welcome being wrong on that. But like I said, I think most likely we get some sort of movement on this in Q1, Q2 2024. Rescheduling MJ aligns with safe, regulated products that Americans can trust, says the governor's letter, which points to a poll that found 88% of Americans support legalization for medical or recreational use. As governors, we might disagree about whether recreational MJ legalization or even MJ use is a net positive, but we agree that MJ industry is here to stay, and the states have created strong regulations, in supporting the state-regulated marketplace is essential for the safety of American people. And the American people have spoken. 88% of Americans support legalization for medical or recreational use, right? Like, tobacco kills how many hundreds of thousands of people annually? Alcohol, while these substances while tobacco and alcohol are not great, for you health-wise, right? People are, adults, and they have the ability to make their own decisions. So MJ, in my opinion, should actually be on a different category. Should almost be less restricted than tobacco and alcohol, right? Like, in my opinion, those are, absolute poison. And MJ has so many different medical benefits. Look at anxiety and sleep and PTSD and epilepsy, all these different applications and use cases that are really helping the lives of people, right? And going through chemotherapy and things like that, and dealing with the nightmare of cancer, right? It helps cancer patients and pain, and it's a great substitute to opioids and things like that. So I mean, it's a no-brainer in my opinion. And yeah, we have to look after the safety of our people, but we also have to give the people what they want. You work for the people, not the other way around. The office of Colorado Governor Jared Polis, who led the group letter, said rescheduling will not only alleviate the financial and safety concerns for businesses, but allow a thriving industry to play a full role in the American business environment. And as we know, we're entering a pretty bleak environment period right now, where especially in the U.S., but we could see a default of the U.S. debt. We could see I think we're in a recession right now, but it could be leading to a depression. I think we're going to see some very troubling times ahead. And the MJ industry, I think, is going to be relied upon because it's going to create tons of tax revenue. It's going to create tons of jobs. And it's going to help with that, portion of, it's a dark time, right? So in dark times, what usually thrives is MJ and alcohol and things like that. And in my opinion, MJ is a great alternative to alcohol. You want to avoid that abuse and poison, for the lack of a better word. One of the first state officials to react to HHS's recommendation of rescheduling, Polis told Biden in a letter that in September that while he expects the DA will expeditiously complete its review and move MJ to Schedule 3, the policy change must be coupled with further administrative and congressional action to promote health, safety, and economic growth. I would agree. That is, the DEA coming back is not enough. We need this from all parts of, the government, and including the executive branch. Meanwhile, 6 former DEA heads and 5 former White House drug czars sent a letter to the Attorney General and current DEA administrator voicing opposition to the top federal health agency's recommendation to reschedule MJ. Get out of here with this nonsense. Like, it's just, the stigma can only last for so long, and you can only kick the can down the road for so long. 88% of people want it done. Get it done. Like, you work for the people. Enough's enough. They also made a questionable claim about the relationship between drug schedules and criminal penalties in a way that could exaggerate and potentially impact the incremental reform. Signatories includes DEA and Office of National Drug Control Policy, heads under multiple administrations led by presidents of both major parties. So, In October, advocates and lawmakers who support MJ reform marked the 1-year anniversary of Biden's mass MJ pardon and scheduling directive this month by calling him to do more. Absolutely. This is not enough. Well, that's a great step, though, however. But including expanding the scope of relief that his pardon had and by expressly supporting federal legalization. supporting federal legalization. Two GOP senators, including the lead Republican sponsor of MJ banking bill that cleared the key committee last month, recently filed new legislation that prevent federal agencies from rescheduling MJ without approval from Congress. So pretty much wrapping it up. But I think Earl Blumenauer as well is going to be on his way out, and we need to get like the Mitch McConnells out of here, right? We need to get more of the younger demographic in office, and that's just going to be a matter of when, not if, right? It's an inevitability. It's an inevitability. It's going to happen. It's just, the time is ticking, right? The clock is counting down, and right now the stigma, they're able to basically brainwash the older demographics that there's still this stigma, and it's really just a false narrative, right? There's no real science behind it. It's just years and years and years and years of decades of stigmatization and just false accusations, and follow the science. And we're going to see here in the not too distant future, in my opinion, that the science is backing it, right? That we know that times are changing. This is an amazing industry, an amazing plant medicine of the future, and it's time to make our voices heard and get this done. A coalition of 14 Republican congressional lawmakers, meanwhile, is urging DEA to reject the top federal health agency's recommendation to reschedule MJ and instead keep it in the most restrictive category under the Controlled Substances Act, which is just absolutely insane, right? These draconian laws and these asinine way of thinking. I can't understand how anybody with half a brain wouldn't understand that it's time to reschedule this thing. Like, to say that it has no medical value whatsoever when there's like Epidiolex with people that are having seizures and epilepsy, and it's really improving their quality of life, and cancer patients, like how dare you deny that cancer patients who are terminally ill on their last days, that are saying that they're getting help from this and it's a way better alternative to opioids. Shame on you. Absolute shame on these people who are just intellectually dishonest, right? I have no place for it, and you shouldn't either. But obviously, this isn't financial advice or any kind of advice at all. It's my own thoughts and opinions. This is for entertainment, informational purposes only. But I think that this industry is going to be the industry to be in. Never been more excited, never been more proud to be an MJ supporter, an advocate, and shareholder. And like I said, I'm excited for the future, and it's time for change. All right, going to end it there. It's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this in the comments section below. Always love hearing from you. Have a great night. We'll see you again on the next update.